Greetings. This is Fabian Sennett, your story, Gangunjahnevadye, presenting in memories of our great historian, Dan Carter Henry. The works of Dan Carter Henry. Ascending a hilly terrain at Johnsall, a suburban settlement outskirt 6 miles from Montego Bay, St. James, a secondary roadway, serves like a conduit from Montego Bay to Mandeville in Manchester, commands the extensive panoramic landscape of the Montego River Valley, which spreads out to the fringes of the North Coast Sea Line, continuing the route traverse the Saddleback Plateau of the Springfield to Kensington locality until it enters the cockpit region. The scene is breathtaking, and the poetic mind is stirred to inquire. Have you ever climbed a mountain and surveyed the world so proud from a viewpoint so fantastic from the center of a cloud? Anonymous. In the panoramic watershed of the Montego Valley, pregnant with its unidentified historical sites of building, ruins, homesteads, demolished sugar estates, tombs, and legendary cotton tree, all embracing the early heritage of the English colonization period, not unlikely a few forgotten and unknown Spanish colonial sites prior 1815, the early years of the global declining efforts of Spain to stabilize her colonial hold and influence in the Caribbean because the French under Napoleon Bonaparte have been annihilated. It was impossible for a Spanish alliance and expansion to be effected in the West Indies. At the backdrop of the elevated wooded upland, the Interland offers a cockpit-like terrain adjacent to the Springfield district. The unidentified sites of the habitat are historical section pertaining to the Spanish colonial settlement. In western Jamaica also, there are historic sites of the Second Maroon War of 1796-1798 and Jamaica's final slave rebellion of 1831 to 1802. Some of these sites include the communities of Windsor Lodge, Lasham, Salters Hill, Amity, Hall, and Whitechapel, all of which figured militantly in the slave rebellion of 1831 to 1832. Across the lower defiles are the historic elevations of Palmyra and Rosal, which still retain curious and curling tales of Annie Palmer, the White Witch of Rosal. A few unidentified sites like Spanish trails, which once led into the Newman Hall woodlands, still retain feature features of Stonewall pig crawls, which oral tradition claims could have been reserved for pigs during the Spanish colonial occupation of the island when the township of Montego Bay, was built up as a noteworthy port for exporting hog meat, pork. During 1809, the Spaniard introduced sugarcane from Barbados into Jamaica in its phenomenal growth, and the expansion of the sugarcane industry made the introduction of slave labor a necessary imperative. In due course, sugar estates and factory dotted the landscape, and in that temper, the flaming torch of Kensington attempts to describe a setting so entwined with many and varied aspects which have been woven into the fabrics of Jamaica, cultural heritage, its natural scenes of landscapes and gullies, and its religious background, as the precipitated remains of the truths of chattel slavery. The author had the opportunity to visit and to make inquiry in order to identify their historical importance. Among the cultural historical sites are those of the Tulloch Castle and the Kensington Great House, which he introduced to the Jamaican National Heritage Trust in 1986. And speaking of E, that was Don Carter Henry, the famous historian. and we are delving into his work. And we're accepting as important and valuable ecotourism. So therefore, let me go again. Among the cultural historical sites are those of the Tullow Castle and the Kensington Great House, which he introduced to the Jamaica National Heritage Trust in 1986 and were accepted as important and valuable to ecotourism, which could serve as a motivating source for the economic exposure of the community. The inquiry clarifies the terms which are used interchangeable: Christmas Rebellion, Kensington Rebellion, Slave Rebellion of 1832, the Third Maroon War, Baptist War, and justifiable Samuel Sharpe Rebellion. The flaming torch of Kensington, the cultural importance and value of the government, the symbol of Jamaica's National Heritage Trust, a poetically schemed the towering cotton tree, Seba petrenda, is one of the silk cotton tree which shaded the slave market. Also slavery and slave block was uttered and wrapped up in legend rituals of Jamaica's Taino period down through the duration of slavery until this century. And the slave ring mentioned in this document actually located at Upper Union Street in front of Overton Plaza. Maronage, a derelict aspect within a beggarly society, is given its cultural importance as related to geographical, and sociological factors, which serves to entrench it and to fashion it in a militant slave society, which passionately produced the dubious route to emancipation and its aftermath, Jamaica's national independence in 1962. Dedicated to Samuel Sharpe, the narrative eliminates Sam Sharpe, the man, his mission, his lifestyle, and his resolute nature, which ennobled and emblazoned him to the moment of his execution, and his posthumous empowerment as national hero. His disreputable funeral and the aftermath of his empty tomb beneath the pulpit of Bethel Baptist Church in Montego Bay are given exposure. And Bethel Baptist Church used to be in Sharp Square, and the same location where you know of the Scotia Bank. The temperament and result of the rebellion and its economic effect through religious educational enterprise, which became a social and stabilizing element in a new society which put together by the missionary of the various denominations to produce the architecture of Jamaica nationhood. Introduction: a general topography of the county of Cornwall. A general topography of the county of Cornwall is outlined to serve as an appreciation of Jamaica's geological and geographical structure, which are responsible for the socio-political patterns, events which contributing to the unfolding of Jamaica's national life. In the county of Cornwall, where patterns of events have been affected by atmospheric condition of climate, the area of 1,563 1563 square mile have been subjected to the peculiarity of the weather conditions, comprising of the parishes of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. The country is exposed to the cooling atmospheric country of the northwesterly wind, which blows in the direction of Westmoreland, but are prevented by a barrier of islands which intercept them by the elevated points of the Dolphin Head and Birch Hill ranges and the borderline of Westmoreland and Hanover, resulting in an average annual rainfall of 90 inches and luscious vegetative growth which covers the elevated region to prevent severe periodic drought. Geologically, the area has been subjected to faulting, which results in a landform particularly peculiar to the parish of Trelawney, St. James, and St. Elizabeth, a typical feature of the cockpit country, resulting in as karst system. In the area, a watershed is formed by an extended geological fault which runs in a nearly north to south direction in most of the named parish, excluding northern St. James, where the axis of the fault lies in an east to west direction. The coast elevation have been subjected to continual exodus by wind, rain, and solar radiation upon its tertiary limestone, and are eroded by running water, rain, chemical, atmospheric conditions. This last process highly pregnant with carbon dioxide CO2, the condition which disintegrate the limestone content of the exposed rocks and the continual percolation by water and its passage through the soil result in residual high ridges of jagged limestone and of sinkholes and caves, heritage so common in the cockpit country and its environs, a common heritage of the county of Cornwall to serve as a topographical evidence of the geological features which are also found in the settlement of Stonehenge, Ipswich, Mucko, Vaughansfield, Tang River, Maroontown, St. James, the citizens having a particular common sociological pattern and lifestyle. Through the cockpit country, the Accompong Town Maroons checked their winding trails and found a stronghold the attack which they resisted the attack of the British military forces to the magnitude that their boldness became a repulsive menace to the trained British soldiers because the call of the cockpit was the Maroons, the Trelawney Town Maroons, most feared, most decisive weapons, which bounteously because of ecological features were beneficent for the survival of the fittest. The hidden waters in underground spaces are some of Jamaica's most famous rivers, which are emitting become A. The Marthabury River in Trelawney, and B. The Montego Great River in St. James, and C. The Black River in St. Elizabeth, which makes for domestic and industrial water supply. The historical Montego Valley, a fertile confine, has served as a plantation area and a militant hotbed for supplying notable and courageous rebels. Coincidentally, the end stream of the Montego River surfaces within a close proximity of the famous Tullow Castle site, which serves as the beacon site for the initial signal of the Holocaust of the uprising known as the Kensington Rebellion, the Baptist War, the Kensington Rebellion, the Christmas Rebellion, now signified as the Samuel Sharpe Rebellion, the Third Maroon War. The Marthabury River in Trelawney meander as an underground stream to the environs of the cockpit area of Vaughansfield St. James, starting initially as the Tang River, starting initially as the Tang River in that area and disappearing into Rota Sink Hole, locally referred to as Ropa Sink. It flows underground until it finds an outlet at this side on the undulating slopes of the Queen of Spain Valley, 16 miles away in Trelawney, where it emits as the upper and main tributary of the Marthabury River, the Cabaretta and Black River in the parishes of Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, respectively, flows into a southerly direction. The Black River, with the Wyeth as its tributary, forms a great breakwater which serve as the defensive barrier on two historic occasions. The first during the march of the English expeditionary forces to western Jamaica at the time of the capture in 1655, the army force were impeded at the heavy morass of the Black River by the defensive guards of the Spanish and Creoles at Lacovia, where the colonial militia settled their operational headquarters to receive the military enforcement from Kingston and Port Royal to battle up the entrance to the Black River Valley to prevent the rebels from passing the parish of Manchester. The southerly flow of the Wyeth River in St. Elizabeth, Hector's River in northeastern Trelawney, the Queen of Spain Valley, and the Montego Valley, respectively, in the parish of Trelawney and St. James, to occupy a confine where the clouds of discontent gathered. It was in that area at the cockpit country that as early as August 4, 1655, the South Africans and Creoles gathered and relentlessly fought to make it a natural fortress for fugitive slaves and warring Maroons, endowed with a keenness of sight, hearing, and a preponderance of physical speed. The Maroons utilized those qualities to employ their rude muskets with a relative advantage against those of their sophisticated Europeans colonizers. Their methods of ambush and camouflage frequently outstrip those of the invading colonizer, and I will repeat, endowed with a keenness of sight, hearing, and preponderance of physical speed. The Maroons utilized those qualities to employ their rude muskets with a relative advantage against those of their sophisticated European colonizers. Their methods of ambush and camouflage quite frequently outstrip those of the invading colonizers. As a sturdy people, the Maroons were able to defy attacks for prolonged periods. Their defiance often provides by the gullies, water holes, and caves in the area, which gave them much social, economical, and political defense. Documentation of early Jamaican history reveals that the cockpit country has been a silent natural evidence of its people. The Tainos, the Maroons, the slaves, and the peasants all retaining a revered inner silence comparable to the deep underground water of the cockpit country, which when stirred up becomes embroiled and vulnerable, dangerous, because and the hoisting of the Spanish national flags by Christopher Columbus on Jamaica's land of wood and water, the island, the island's unbroken pattern of peace was disjointed, an untimely period of resistance, commencing on May 4, 1494, to ratify the Colombian invasion, not the Colombian discovery of Jamaica. Christopher Columbus did not never discover Jamaica. The Siboney and the Taino people, the Troglodyte Jews, were already here from 711 BC. People were living in this land. Until next time, Anorak TV Live. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Remember to download my album, The Share Still Tapping, and the EP, Three Sides of a Kind, from all the major platforms. Like, subscribe, share, follow at the YouTube, Facebook, Jamaica Mongrel Dark Association, the Gangunjahnevadye Production, Instagram. Until next time, have a great night. Have a great life. Jah guide and protect.